Hello out there. Sorry about that. It's kind of funny, actually. We're here at the Heritage Grill in downtown New Westminster, talking about energy, and we had a bit of a power problem just before we went online. So
But it was the air
everything was,
conditioning.
yeah, we blame the air conditioning. So if we disappear for a little while, stick on. We'll be back. I'm Pat Johnstone from the New West Environmental Partners. We're here, like I said, at the Heritage Grill in beautiful downtown New Westminster. We're here for our regular GreenDrinks event, which is an event that we like to hold in New Westminster where people get together in an informal setting and talk about sustainability and environment issues. It's basically a cocktail party with ideas. So it's normally really a very social event as opposed to a formal event. It's informal. If you want to learn a little bit more about GreenDrinks International or about having GreenDrinks in your own neighborhood, you can always go to greendrinks.org. No, don't be quiet for me. Keep talking amongst yourselves. This is what happens. They're all gabbing back there, and they thought that I was talking to them. I'm talking to you guys at home. So they can all watch this when they get home. So anyway, in New Westminster, when we do GreenDrinks, we like to prime the pump a little bit and get the conversation going. And so we try to come up with an idea or a theme for a GreenDrinks event and get people to talk about it, to bring in some expertise and sort of get the conversation going. So this month, we have two speakers, both talking broadly on the topic of energy. Energy is a big topic in BC and in New Westminster right now because whether our hydro bills are going up or whether we have major projects that are going on, moving hydrocarbons are all really energy projects at their heart. And energy is one of those issues that hits all of us right in the pocketbook because we all pay for the energy we use. So it's topical, it's timely, and so we thought we'd have a GreenDrinks theme around it. So anyway, I'm here with Norm Conley. Norm Conley is the Community Energy Manager for the City of New Westminster. I want to ask if you... hi, Norm.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you've been with the City of New West now for a little more than a year as an energy manager.
That's right. Brand new position.
Can you explain to the uninitiated, what does an energy manager do?
Well, there's two components. An energy manager may look at and deal with all facets of energy for a particular building or a group of facilities. My title is Community Energy Manager, which means I have a slightly different role. I don't look after specific buildings. What I'm doing there is actually trying to help facilitate and kickstart and create new programs that will affect the community at large. So this is the vast majority of homes, businesses, and large buildings, small buildings throughout the community. It deals on the transportation side as well. So basically it affects what we call community-wide energy use and GHG emissions. So in both those cases, the city has some policies, the province has some policies, and where the rubber hits the road, generally speaking, is at the local government level. So that's kind of what my role is, to help get that going.
All right. So again, you're dealing mostly with the community, the businesses, and the buildings, as opposed to dealing with the city's own energy use. This is not the street lights. This is our laundry machines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Although both are related, you need leadership on the local government side to have validity community-wide. So, and a lot of times there's chances to affect both with the same initiative. So.
Right, so I know you guys are launching this new Energy Save New West program, so maybe you can talk to us about what that program is. And,
sure.
Yeah.
It's about, we've spent about a year researching this program, and the model for this program is basically starts with the low-rise residential homes, and encourages and makes it easy for local homeowners to do something like having an energy assessment of their home. That'll give them some really good information and basically a roadmap or a plan for their home in terms of what energy efficiency improvements can be made that make the most sense from a dollars and cents perspective and from a kind of a occupant comfort perspective. And so Energy Save New West is about getting that going. There are rebates out there with FortisBC and BC Hydro, our provincially regulated utilities. There's a provincial program called Live Smart BC, which we're integrated with, that's also out there as well. And you could ask, well, why even develop a program if there's these other incentives and rebates out there? And our rationale for doing this was to say, well, let's create a program around these existing rebates and Live Smart BC and step it up a bit. Make it more interesting, increase the visibility and the take-up, hopefully, locally with that. We think there's a market for it here and an interest because we have a full range of all ages of homes, styles, shapes. So our justification for doing that was to say, what are some of the successful models in other communities like Nelson's EcoSave, Roslyn Energy Diet, Power Down Campbell River, where they've all had great success. We modeled our program a bit on theirs and got out of the gate in July this year.
So we're a lot like, I think in Nelson and Roslyn, we're a lot like them. We're an old city. Yeah. We're a historic city full of old buildings.
You got it, yeah.
So if I sign up for Energy Save New West, what does it look like to me? I'm a homeowner. If I decide to join your program, what happens to me? What do I do?
No real obligation. All you have to do is call me up or go online to energysavenewwest.ca, and within that there's an online registration form, and it's going to ask you about your home, your address, whether you live there full-time or not, and why you're interested, and all that kind of stuff, and then submit that, and then we get an email right away, and we're able to contact and put that information forward to an energy specialist, and we call that firm a certified energy advisor. And the certified energy advisor that we're working with on this program, Energy Save New West, in New Westminster, is City Green Solutions. City Green has a great reputation. They're extremely competent people, and they're the ones that will actually contact you after and arrange to conduct the energy assessment of your home. And what Energy Save New West has done with its partners, BC Hydro, Fortis BC, and the province, is offer this program free, the energy assessment free for the first 100 homes that signed up for the program. So that's how we launched in July. It was a roaring success. We have had about 136 homes registered in the program to date. And we've been able to, with our funding, to provide 130 of those homes completely free energy efficiency assessments. And we still offer a greatly reduced price. It's only $60 to register now, which still is a $240 value, and we're going to maintain that through the rest of the program. So it's really advantageous to the homeowner to check it out.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I know we've got a program tonight, so if anybody out there would like to learn more about Energy Save New West, you can go to the website, which is all one word, energysavenewwest.ca. And you can meet Norm, and you can talk about how you can make your home or your business more energy efficient.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. All right.
Now I actually want to talk to Nigel Porter. Nigel's somewhere out there having a conversation. There he is. I haven't actually had a chance to talk to Nigel yet today.
Potter.
We've been busy. Nigel Porter.
How you doing?
Great. Nigel is the executive director of BC Sustainable Energy Association. Welcome to New Westminster.
Thank you.
You traveling?
Great to be
You
here.
came down from up the
Way up north.
Squamish?
Pemberton.
Pemberton, even further. Yikes.
Pemberton.
So tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into energy issues or energy? Yeah, as a business.
Oh well,
job.
I've been involved in energy issues. I lived off grid for 7 years. In the 70s, I built a passive solar system.
Yeah.
I had a solar-powered wristwatch when I was 14.
I think I had a calculator.
And a calculator. I guess around the end of the dot-com era, I decided to focus on renewables and electricity policy, and I've been involved in the industry ever since in various ways.
Okay, well, you're the executive director of the BC Sustainable Energy Association.
That's right.
What does BCSEA do? What is that?
Well, BCSEA is so I'm changing it around. We used to be a sort of about the vision of the future more so, and we still are. And we keep that in mind, but we're actually focusing more on incremental changes that we can make today credibly in our province. So we call ourselves an energy market transformation organization. We're a nonprofit. We're not an industry association. We're member-based, and also we make revenue off program delivery, specific programs. And so we're really focused on the smaller, less exciting things that actually make a difference, rather than the bigger things where we actually don't do anything.
Okay, so who are you say members? Who are your members? Are your members
Yeah,
citizens
we have
or is it
hundreds of
businesses?
members, both citizens and businesses from across the province, um, um, and we don't represent any one group. We represent. We have a policy committee, and we take stock of the situation on a month by month and year by year basis, and we represent what we believe at our board level and management level are the best steps to take in the interest of sustainable energy for the province of BC in the context of Canada and the world.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, sustainability is one of those words that we're using now. It's become a marketing word. I mean,
Yeah.
you see gas stations and coal mines using sustainability in their marketing.
That's right.
So what is sustainability? I don't know if you speak with BCCA on this, but what is your idea of sustainability? What is sustainability?
Well, first of all, I hate the word. And
It's right in the middle.
I prefer the phrase sustainable development
Right.
because it's been defined at the United Nations in 1987 by the Brundtland Commission, and there's a clear definition from what sustainable development is. And essentially, in a sense, it's not borrowing from tomorrow to live today. So that's the premise.
Right.
We can borrow a little bit as long as we pay it back or make amends in some other way. And so we have to, we think it's important to live that way. We don't know what the future holds. We're not afraid of the future, but we want to be prudent. So that's what sustainability is, in my view.
Yeah.
And sustainable energy is something that's tied into the economy, society, and the environment very intimately. And it's very important, and it's also the world's largest and most complex industry, the world's most valuable industry in aggregate, and it has tremendous cycles and international gaming, ups and downs. There are very savvy players around the world, very powerful players. There's a lot of information and misinformation around it, and it's a hugely complex subject. And so we're game to address it and hit it head on in our little corner of the world and do our little bit. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's
yeah, it does.
That's where we're at.
So here we are in British Columbia. I mean, British Columbia has a reputation for sustainable energy because we use hydro generally.
That's right.
We're all worried about our hydro rates going up because of the changes that are happening in hydro. But we're also going through this phase right now where the export of hydrocarbons seems to be a bigger part of our economy, whether it be coal or be oil or be liquid natural gas. So where do you think where the province is going, what the direction policy-wise the province is going in its own energy use and how it's structuring its economy around energy?
Sure. Well, I mean, the current government, the Liberal government, has sort of flipped 180 degrees since the early part of the 2000s, but so has the world. In those days, in the Gordon Campbell era, the world was running out of oil and gas, and the economy was doing great. Around 2008, horizontal drilling and fracking became a mature technology, and the economic downturn hit. And so everything changed in the energy world. What made sense before no longer made sense. We could talk about a future because the future was coming at us like a freight train, a future of less oil and gas and lots of investment for clean tech, and things were wonderful. It was all unicorns and rainbows. Today, that's not the case. It's a very difficult, complicated picture. The province is flipped 180 degrees politically and policy-wise to put all its emphasis on hydrocarbon export, as you say, developing that in the hope, and we think it's a somewhat risky hope, that this will pay the bills now and in the future. And there are no plans that we know of for new renewable capacity to be developed in British Columbia in the next many, many years. We know the ministers in charge of those files are not particularly interested in renewables, nor in climate change particularly. That's our pretty clear understanding. And so we're faced with that. That's our reality. At BCSEA, we believe it's important to be in the tent rather than protesting outside of it. And so we're forced, I think, for pragmatic reasons, to acknowledge that reality and try to find those areas of alignment that we can with the province, because that's all we can do if we want to move the bar. And what we want to do at BCSEA is continually move the bar and create improvements.
I'm glad you raised climate change for the first time. I mean, in this conversation. I mean, I don't think energy is linked with climate change. I mean, the way we choose to get our energy is going to affect how climate change affects us as a globe and as a province. So, I mean, have you seen the same evolution and the change of how we approach climate change over the last 10, 15 years? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Where are we going in that direction?
Well, I think some people are getting tired of the climate change. I'll use a funny word, meme. We believe strongly in climate change. I personally believe strongly in anthropogenic climate change, that it's real, that it's happening, that it's very important we try to mitigate it, that if we don't, it creates very large risks in the near and long term for us. So,
I think it's funny that you use the word believe, because I mean, believing that it exists is separate from it's that we have to have a belief that it exists, even though the science is very clear that it exists, but we still have to use it in the terms of belief that it exists.
I think it's a really great point, because there are people that don't believe it exists despite the science. So I guess I'm fighting fire with fire. My belief against theirs. I also happen to be a man of science, and I'm very convinced by the evidence. I've seen a lot of it and read a lot of it, and I think it's pretty inescapable. However, that's not enough for these pitiful creatures known as humans. Belief still transcends all.
Right.
Yeah.
And we need to put it into we need to put the effects of it into economic terms, so that people can understand what the implications of our choices as far as energy use is.
Well, that's probably true, but I think more so it's more of an economic squeeze that will actually move people. I don't believe people are moving so much because of climate change and the risks it presents. I think people are moved more by, I hate to say it, but we are unfortunately human, moved by the economic arguments. And so when I talk about sustainable energy issues, I like to balance my climate change argument with an equally valid argument about the risks of not adopting more renewables and using less and being prudent about the future. I think that's an equally valid scientific or socially scientific argument, the economic argument, and I think it's a strong one. For example, I think the belief the province has in its LNG export scheme is a little bit optimistic. I think they seem to have forgotten that oil and gas is cyclical, that the cost of production of LNG today are higher than the cost of sale, that if they export the oil and gas, that means there'll be less for us now and in the future, and it'll raise our prices domestically. But the development of LNG for export will increase electricity and power demand by a very, very large increment in British Columbia and have the effect of raising costs for consumers in terms of electricity and gas prices, and effectively subsidizing the international oil and gas companies.
Right.
So those are risks. There may be rewards in terms of taxation and jobs and all those wonderful things, but nobody knows where the balance is going to be. On the other, so if you look at, let me just take it a step further.
I got to rush you along. You're
Okay.
taking it further along in your talk, because
All right.
I'm getting the timing fingers from my. So thank you, Nigel. Thanks for coming out.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done on
thanks
this
a
part.
lot.
Hold on a
Okay.
sec. If you want to check out what Nigel and the BC Sustainable Energy Association do, you can go to the website, which is bcsea.org. What we're going to do now is I think our speakers are going to talk to the general audience here for a little bit. You can hang around. It'll be broadcast here on New West TV. And then after a little while, I'll come back and I'll wrap this out. And you can all go to sleep tonight. So we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks.
Sleep
Thanks,
well.
Nigel.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex. I'm part of NWEP. And for those of you who haven't been to GreenDrinks before, this is part of a global program. And the real goal of this is just to get together and have a conversation. It's not typically agenda-driven or thematic, but tonight we decided to have energy as our theme, and we will have a couple of speakers speaking to that. Now, Peter McMartin actually brought the idea of GreenDrinks to NWEP, and it's been going on and off for a couple of years now. We will be carried from a journey that's macro to a micro perspective. So Nigel Trotter, who is the Executive Director and CEO of the BC Sustainable Energy Association, he'll come up and he will speak, or maybe a free-form Q&A as to what really matters. So Nigel, would you please come up here?
Oh, I thought it was second.
No, you're actually first.
I'm first. Oh, okay.
And so I'm just going to... big feedback sound, but and
That's just me.
You're gonna be up here solo.
What?
You're gonna be up here solo.
Oh, come on. No, stay here.
Oh, stay here.
Oh, I don't know. You can, no, I mean, you can stay or go. I don't mind. Hello, everybody. I'm Nigel Protter. I'm the ED and Executive Director and CEO of BC Sustainable Energy Association. And as you said, we're an energy market transformation entity. What does that mean? Boy. So we're here. Our purpose is to move the bar in energy policy and action in British Columbia, across British Columbia, taking account of local, regional, national, and international forces and inputs, and of course the wants and needs of the people, the environment, the environment and how it reacts to energy, and the economy and how it's driving and affected by energy issues. Can people hear me? Okay. I come to this from a varied background. I've been involved in actually enhanced oil and gas recovery way back when I was in university. I worked in the States recovering oil from expired oil wells using soap, injecting soap in and pulling oil out. So getting more, so then that was considered a good thing. That was considered efficiency. Now that's kind of like, oh, more oil and gas. I mean, we were just coming out of the energy crisis. After the dot-com bust, I was involved in a lot of technologies. I went back to school, and studied energy policy, electricity, and from a sustainability perspective, and got involved in renewables generation, and also clean tech development, developing new forms of energy generation, and also now I'm really involved in energy efficiency. So I sort of have a kind of a varied background in energy. One of the things I've noticed about energy is it's really confusing. It's really complicated. There's a lot of opinion and information and misinformation out there. Fundamentally, though, it's physics. It's thermodynamics. And you can't really escape that. Did you know in this room there's 2 kilowatts of power emanating from your bodies? That's why it's so hot in here. You're about 50 watts each, so can you tone it down a bit? It's really getting hot. So that's energy. You know, in the power generation side in the BC context, you know, we hear all kinds of, like, I don't know how many of you have been following the renewables industry in BC, for example. Public versus private power, IPPs versus BC Hydro. That's one whole area of contention in the province. Energy efficiency is another whole area. You know, is it worth it to invest in retrofits or new build for your home, like, for example, new insulation, triple glazed windows, changing out your toilets? Can you afford it? What's the economic case for it? Are you rich? Can you just do it anyway? So there's questions around that. What about this thing called smart grid? What about electric cars? Should I buy one? So I kind of wanted to know, I wanted to kind of like, is there anyone here that has a burning question or issue they want to address? And I'd like to just talk about it, maybe then do another one, and maybe another one until they give me the hook. So yeah, so saw you move your arm a little bit. Was that you? The lady with the glasses right there. You. Did you move your arm? Did you have a question? Well, well, that I don't know the specific answer to that in Ontario. I do know I can tell you about FITs though. Let me do it. She's wondering why they're not allowed to have battery backup for solar systems in Ontario that are subsidized through the feed-in tariff. FIT means feed-in tariff. In Ontario, they've got a very generous feed-in tariff, which basically rewards people to install solar panels in their homes to a very high extent. And I think it's a huge mistake for a government to actually implement FITs or feed-in tariffs in general. I actually wrote that in 2001, long before it became fashionable to have FITs. And the reason is, feed-in tariffs are an incentive that really suit the development of new technologies that have to do what we call cross the chasm to commercial viability from the lab, or from R&D through demonstration to commercial viability. That's where a feed-in tariff makes sense, to help a technology bridge. But once a technology is proven commercial somewhere in the world, it should not be subsidized. Now, I know that might sound strange coming from me, who's a renewable energy zealot, but it's unhealthy for the economy, and it ends up always being a sad story for the politicians who promote these feed-in tariffs, because sooner or later they get booted out of office. Look at Australia and what's going on there. So feed-in tariffs are not sustainable. Therefore, BCSEA doesn't support them. Or I don't anyway. Some of us do, but I think they're a bad idea for commercial technologies. I didn't exactly answer your question, but you gave me a platform or a soapbox to talk about something. Sorry, yes. Okay, you pick who's next.
By the post.
Okay.
Well, pardon me, I'm sorry. I couldn't see from here.
No, I think it was very stylish gray. A touch of gray. Go ahead. Sure. So the question was, can enough efficiencies be squeezed out of our current style of life to counteract the new firm capacity, which means firm energy from BC's Hydro's crazy scheme to put a dam on Site C? And the answer is there are two kind of not very related things, because the timescales are very different. Site C is not scheduled to see commencement of delivery now until 2024. But don't forget, Site C has been in development for 50 years and still hasn't been built. They say it's going to be commencing delivery of power in 2024. So take that with a big grain of salt. Now, we're not supporters of Site C for a lot of reasons, environmental, but also economic. We don't think it's going to be a net benefit to the system. We think there are better ways. We're not against renewable generation, it is, but we think it's a 60-year-old idea, and it's going to be very harmful to the local and regional environment for a lot of reasons. There's a wildlife corridor through there, a special one. There's the fish issue. It is going to deliver firm power. So we're not. So separately though, let's look at efficiency. Efficiency is really hard. It's harder than people think. I have decided actually to focus BCSEA very much on efficiency now versus what we used to focus on. We're kind of toning down our support for solar and things like that, not because we don't like solar, because it just isn't feasible in BC right now, and we really have to focus ourselves and be efficient ourselves and do real meaningful things. So we're focused on efficiency, and what we've learned in our focus, since I've only been with BCSEA 8 months, we've learned it's hard. It's harder than people think. It's actually, you always hear the refrain that the first thing we should do is use less rather than generate more, and we agree with that. But it's not so easy, is what I'm trying to say. The low-hanging fruit, if people could use less today, they would, because it would cost them less, but they don't. Money drives, I'm sorry to say it, money is what drives us. Most people, this room accepted, of course. But if people could be more efficient, it would save them money, but they're not. And so they're not saving the money. Why? Because the option is either too complicated or too hard for them. So efficiency takes new technologies, condensing boilers, triple pane windows, new kinds of envelopes for your housing, replacing your toilets and aerating your water spigots and so on. All those things are very important. They're all expensive. They all have very long paybacks typically, and they don't make a lot of financial sense for someone living paycheck to paycheck. They can't see it. And so the answer is also not just technology to efficiency, but also how do we implement efficiency? And that's the problem we're really working on at BCSCA is the sales cycle of efficiency. You're selling a complex product to an audience, to a market that doesn't understand all the pieces but knows it's not affordable. So we're trying to find a model, particularly initially in the multiple unit residential sector, but we hope to eventually spread that model out. And that's what we're really focused on with efficiency. So I didn't exactly answer your question, but because I think they're two separate issues actually, very separate. And you can't, because the time lag difference, efficiency starts today. Site C, who knows when or if they'll ever build it. I'm actually personally not that worried about Site C because I think it's such a crazy thing and it's going to go so over budget, it may never get built. That's just me though. You want to pick the next person? I just don't want to pick them and get in trouble. Okay. Yes. Okay.
What is the BCSCA? Why are you, who are you?
Thank you. Great question. Well, BCSCA was founded by a really creative visionary guy named Guy Dauncey, who's still with us. He's our communication director. Guy is a futurist, and he's very intelligent and very well read, and he's written some interesting books, and we love him. And his vision was, really, it happened in the Gordon Campbell era with all the enthusiasm around, all the things we could do when the world was running out of, and so it's a member-based organization. It's not an industry association, although we do have, General Fusion is a member. Does anyone know who General Fusion is? Yes, they're a member. Interjex, which is a hydro and wind developer, is a member, for example. We have Bullfrog Power is a member. So we do have commercial members, but we don't let any one sector dominate. And so we like to think we're a public interest energy advocacy market transformation group. It's a nonprofit. Does that answer your question enough? Okay, thanks. And we need members. Join, please. Sir. Oh. That's right.
And there's massive wind turbines all over the countryside. And I have to say, that was all done with pretty big feed-in tariffs.
It was.
So it was an acceleration mechanism. And I would argue we need an acceleration mechanism.
Yeah, I was just in Germany too, actually, last week. Just got back Friday, and I know of what you speak. Germany has 60 million people. It's the most powerful industrial economy per capita. More so than the U.S., I would say, by concentration. It's a wealthy country, and its feed-in tariff is not working so well. There's a lot of problems with it. Their wind program is excellent. Their solar program is very troubled, and as one would expect. And the idea of it was that it would enable the industry. What's happening is a lot of the solar manufacturers in Europe and the U.S. have gone bankrupt because of China's dumping of their solar products on the market, and that's just standard industry shakeout stuff. I think it's good they did it. They did it. It's a social good that they spent that money. Their taxpayers are paying the price, and that's fine with me, and it's probably fine with you. But they're probably not going to carry on at that level. I don't think so. That's my guess. What do you think? Do you think they are?
Well, they are reducing it, but it's because of pressure from and lobbying from the traditional fossil fuel utility companies that are now starting to lose some money.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, you're great. That's a really great point. The solar deployment is disrupting the investor-owned utility business model because it's disrupting the economics of operating coal-fired plants, particularly, and that is in many ways we think a good. But when the coal-fired plants, which still deliver the lion's share of the power, start losing efficiency, and irrespective of whether they're clean or not, that starts costing more money, and all of society has to pay that price. So it's not just the feed-in tariff that's costing the German taxpayer, it's the increased inefficiency in their coal-fired generation and nuclear generation that is also costing the taxpayer, and that's creating turbulence in the economy. So it's not just pressure from those, it's not like guys in suits sitting around, although we like to think so, plotting to destroy the German renewables initiatives. It's actually the people who you know, I just spent 3 weeks there myself looking around at the very same thing, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. So I don't think it's quite that malignant or simple. It's a very complex problem.
Okay, the last question here.
Okay, go ahead.
Just with respect to the feed-in tariff, given the astonishing cost reductions in solar, I would imagine that the feed-in tariff is being dropped because it's no longer needed. And in southern Germany, for example, levelized cost of electricity is cheaper with solar than the grid.
With the fit it is, but without.
Without the fit. Given that the electricity is like 25 odd cents per euro cents per kilowatt hour, the levelized cost over a 20-year period to install in sunny southern Germany, not the cloudiest parts, is, and given the cost drops, I'd imagine that goes further. I would wonder if, I guess I'd like to ask if you would think the fit is a smart politician's carbon tax, because no one likes the word tax, and taxing fossil fuels would be difficult. Giving a negative tax or a feed-in tariff to renewables, would you think that's more viable than a carbon tax, which, as Australia has pointed out, has political?
One of the things I don't like about FITs is politicians pick the technology they wanted to apply it to, and I think it's got to be a renewable power production incentive, a RIPI, not a WHOOPI like a wind power, or a SUPI, a solar power. If you're going to incent renewables, you need to incent them all and let the market work. That's really why I don't like FITs, because they play on political favorites, and solar is something that shines, and people seem to prefer it. And we love solar. Don't get me wrong. The cost of renewables cost of renewable power production, balance of plant, cost of capital, everything has halved since 2008. So definitely renewables are getting more and more competitive. In Australia, they reached grid parity a couple of years ago. I would argue with you that that solar is at grid parity in Germany, but not today. We can do that offline. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I have a bit of problem with that. Because not yet. Soon, maybe. 25 euro cents, maybe, yeah. But it's not always 25 euro cents in Germany. It's time of day and all these things. So it depends, right? How's our time?
We're good.
I don't know if I answered your question or not, but you know, at least we had an exchange.
Pardon me.
One more?
Well, actually, we've
No?
got to
We're
move
done?
on. So maybe offline we can continue the conversation. I mean, this is GreenDrinks, so
I'll
we'll
have a
just
beer
have
and
the conversation
we can
have the beer.
You know, arm wrestle it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All
So
right, good.
thank you, Nigel,
Thanks a
for.
lot. Okay.
And I'd also like to give a quick thank you to Paul of Heritage Grill here. Let's maybe give him a round for letting us use the facility. And now, since I don't feel the need to necessarily facilitate these conversations, I will let Norm Connolly, who is the Community Energy Manager for the City of New Westminster, who also happened to work for the CMHC for Granville Island. I was thinking about this a while back, so there's some interesting subtext and conversation for later. But here's Norm with a little slide deck that...
Yeah, I just, so what I did, thanks Chris. Alex, sorry about that. Hey everyone. My name is Norm Connolly, Community Energy Manager with the City of New Westminster. My role is with the City of New Westminster. I've been here for just over a year, and that's to start to help implement the objectives of the Community Energy and Emissions Plan, which the city has, which is community-derived, which identifies different actions that we can do to reduce emissions, GHG, greenhouse gas emissions from buildings and transportation, and achieve better efficiency in terms of our built environment, new construction and our existing buildings. So what I've done is prepare a bit of a slide deck that kind of talks about one of the programs that we've implemented this year, officially in July. It's called Energy Safe New West. And so this will kind of give you a sense of what we're trying to do under the Community Energy Emissions Plan to implement some of these ideas in the community and hopefully have some fun and bring some good benefits to local residents and businesses, actually. So sometimes they say when you tell a story, you should maybe start at the end. We're not at the end yet. We're still very much at the beginning because we've just launched the program in July. But we've had some good success to date, so it's almost good to kind of maybe tell the story from kind of a more recent event, I guess. This is a picture of a local resident in New West that is participating in the program. And to date, we've got 135 homes, local residents that have signed up and registered in Energy Save New West. And what it's about is energy efficiency in homes. And what this program is about in its basic level is to try to make the process easier to navigate for local residents and just make it easier to access the available rebates that are out there with our provincial regulated utilities, Fortis BC for natural gas, BC Hydro for the electricity side. And also the provincial program. How many of you have heard of Live Smart BC in all its various forms? A few? That provincial program is still in place, and we're very happy for that. And both BC Hydro and Fortis BC have put their energy efficiency dollars into keeping that piece of the program going. So there's rebates that are out there for efficiency upgrades, and that's part of this whole kind of equation. So Energy Save New West is the name of the program. We selected the branding and the image for that in, say, April-May timeframe this year. And if you look a little closer at the logo, you'll see there's 3 buildings on there. And kind of the topography aspect, I guess, that's a real piece of, and the river, that's really New West, I guess. Homes, businesses, and multi-residential buildings. So it reflects the 3 aspects of the program that we want to develop. First out of the door is the low-rise homes program, and we're about to launch something for businesses in October, and eventually have a program specifically for multi-residential buildings. So what it is, it's designed to be high impact and high involvement from the community where there's interest. And it features things like energy audits, making those more accessible and offsetting some of the costs of those. And at the end of the day, achieving better, more efficient buildings. So encouraging business owners, homeowners to take advantage of some of these improvements. Sorry about that. Just hit this. Sorry about that. Yeah, it seems to have frozen. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. I know, this is scintillating action here. There we go.
Do you want me to do that for you?
Sure. Do you mind? Anyways, the model for this program was 3 other successful ones that have been around the province. Roslin's Energy Diet about 2 years ago in the city of Roslyn, and great success on that. About 237 homes to date have been participating in that program. Nelson's EcoSave, a 2-year program, they're about halfway through. Some pretty good success in that community, and more recently, Power Down Campbell River. And the ingredients of success in all 3 of those programs were having a program coordinator to kind of head up the initiative, and certified energy advisor. These are professionals that actually do the home energy assessments, and having a program that actually guides people right through the whole process and connects them to the energy incentives and rebates. Next slide, please. This is just one of those roll-up banners from the program, just kind of showing the branding and the image for it. By the way, our program is co-funded by the City of New Westminster, Fortis BC, and BC Hydro Power Smart. And we access the rebates and incentives through our provincial utilities, as well as Live Smart BC, the province of BC, basically. We've got envisioned a 3-year program. We're in a pilot year. We want to see how successful it's going to be. And our target is to have 200 or more homes signed up in the first year, and sometime during this next 12 months, have at least 100 home energy retrofits underway. And we set those similar targets for the next 2 years. We think we can more than beat those. Next slide. Because there's a lot of homes in New West, over 6,000 detached homes, 250 duplexes, and about the same amount or just over in townhomes. And these all qualify for this program. Next. And on the business side, we're looking at 40 or 50 local businesses participating in this program. Once again, it's through Climate Smart and Live Smart BC. And in this program as well, free energy assessments are offered to all businesses that want to register.
Sorry, is that too fast?
That's fine. And here's some of the targets that's envisioned as a 3-year program again. Next slide, please. Why are we interested? We want to achieve, hopefully on average, about 25% energy efficiency improvement per home. Reduce community-wide GHG emissions from the natural gas side, and improve electrical energy efficiency in these homes. So those are some of the targets. I would just say at the end of the day, it's one of the steps that we're doing to kind of achieve our goals community-wide. Next slide. And where the community-wide piece comes in, it's basically to help meet our community energy emissions plan, our SEEP objectives. And they're reflected in things like increase the energy efficiency of our older building stock. If you look around the community, most of the city's already built. It's here already. And the buildings are various ages, from well over 100 years old to brand new. And so programs like this are designed to address energy efficiency. We're starting to move that in direction in various types of homes and buildings in the city. Next slide. And that's just part of some of the things that we're trying to do this year under Energy Save. As I mentioned earlier, we're eventually going to get a multi-unit residential building program going as well. And our low-rise program is just launched. On the far side there, we're looking at kind of neighborhood energy systems, sometimes called district energy systems. We're doing studies on that right now. It's part of my role. Next. And then also an energy efficiency program designed for buildings and some other things. I don't know if any of you have heard of net zero energy homes or homes designed according to the Passive House standard. There's a conference coming up, the first time, I guess the first time held in this part of the country. It's called Passive House North. It takes place at the end of the month, and it deals entirely with the passive house design concept, how you would actually design a house to be use very, very, very small amount of energy in terms of heating and cooling and that. So it's incredibly popular right now. A lot of people are interested in actually building or designing a passive house using the Passive House standard. So there's a North American version of that standard, and this conference is about that. So, but anyways, on that, we're looking to encourage that kind of thing happening in New Westminster where there's new construction. Next slide. And just going back to a progress report, last slide here. As I mentioned, our residential program was launched in July with a bit of a soft launch around Uptown Live. 135 homes registered to date, and about 100 energy efficiency assessments completed so far by our certified energy advisor, City Green. So City Green Solutions is the actual organization that will that has the certified energy advisors that will actually do the energy assessment of your home if you're interested, and give you a complete report that fully describes and is customized to your home. And from that, you can see kind of the best actions that that you could take in terms of improvements to your home from an energy side, and which ones would qualify for the incentives and rebates that are out there. So if you're interested in something like that, just check out energysavenewwest.ca or call me up. And I should mention that just by way of closing here, I've worn the program coordinator hat just through the design of the program and the launch. But I'm very pleased to have joining me now our program coordinator for Energy Save New West in all its forms, Ryan Coleman from Eco-Lighten. Ryan, I can't see you in this light. Are you still here? There, he's waving back there. Ryan's starting with us formally next week, but we're very pleased to have Ryan supporting that program. Eco-Lighten is an organization that does all kinds of energy efficiency analysis and undertakings all over. Ryan, you've worked in Ireland, in the UK, as well as on specific projects here in BC for Fortis BC and BC Hydro. So he's going to be a great technical resource and a great enthusiastic resource behind the project management of this. I'll still be involved, but it'll be nice to have that extra horsepower to kind of take us into the next stages of the program. I think the last slide, I just want to say thanks again to our funders, City of New Westminster, local residents as part of the city budget to get it going as part of our SEP implementation budget for this year. And of course, BC Hydro, PowerSmart, and FortisBC, which have provided 2/3 of the funding to get it going. So that's it. If anybody's interested, please check us out, and we'll be happy to help you out. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Yes?
Tell me if there's anything in place in this province that's going to rate the energy of the new building. You're building lots of new buildings down in Columbia. If you go buy a car, you know, it rates the fuel. I know Europe, California has like rating.
Yeah.
Stuff that we see. It seems like, you know, you can retrofit, but it seems like if we start building more
Right.
energy efficient buildings, and letting the public know that, you know what, this one over 20 years is saving money.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. The other thing is,
That's a great comment and a great question.
I don't know what the grants, but we retrofitted our house water in our 84-unit, 3-year-old high-rise,
Right.
and it was about $50,000, which was for the natural gas savings we paid off in 5 years of projection. The grants were only, it was only about $2,000 or $3,000 in grants.
Really small. Yeah.
And yet, if we go out right now, collectively 84 people, we can get $420,000 from the province to buy a $100,000 car. Like, they need, the money's there, they need to
Yeah.
redirect it to something that makes more sense.
Yeah, your comments are really, really good, and the last one kind of opens up a bigger kind of a policy issue on that, which I don't know, maybe you start with that. My only comment on that is hopefully through programs like this, because we're working closely with the various government agencies, so the province of BC in their the division that looks after the building code, division that looks after kind of the energy efficiency, that we could be influential as local governments that run these programs and have basically sticking our neck out to get these started, to say that we need to do more from a senior government level in terms of policy, and the incentive piece has to increase. I know that I think our contacts at BC Hydro and FortisBC say that, you know, the incentives really drive these things, and having more incentives or bigger ones tailored to the type of equipment that you're talking about would probably be really helpful to get, if you really want to achieve the objectives of energy efficiency. Yeah. Yeah.
If you went to buy, you know, especially the prices now, you know, maybe $3, $4, $5 million.
Yes.
If you label that, so you know that you're going to buy this place that's got hardwood, and it's got granite, you know what it's got left in the water system.
Right.
Then that would force the builders to be energy efficient.
Yeah.
Otherwise, these grants are going to just keep going.
The building energy labeling is just starting to come into the country. Natural Resources Canada started that with the EnerGuide rating. So when the certified energy advisor comes by and does the pre-retrofit energy efficiency assessment, they're using a protocol and a program, basically a modeling program, because they enter all this data in. Once they do the walk-around assessment, do the pressurized blower door test, record the readings, and all this kind of stuff, it all goes into kind of what they call an energy modeling program, and it spits out basically an EnerGuide rating for your home. And the way it does that is that they've done thousands of these various low-rise homes across the country through last 10 years, and so it gives you a kind of subjective rating of where your home is in a performance perspective, so an EnerGuide rating. So it's kind of like a little bit like the EnerGuide rating that it's on a washer or dryer or dishwasher or one of the appliances that people look at in terms of, okay, how much should this cost me on an annual basis, you know, if I buy this particular machine versus that one. So they're trying to get that into the homes as that thing. It's not there yet. And I think we need to go in that direction to really have that effect. So it's a great comment. Yes, sir.
Norm,
Sorry, go.
let's say you're spending $10,000 on retrofits to increase the energy efficiency of your home. How much are you getting back? Is it 50 cent dollars? Are you getting like $5,000 back? Or how does this work?
That's probably an answer best framed by a certified energy advisor once they've done a kind of an assessment of your home. But generally speaking, what they'll look at is they'll look at all the different points and aspects of a home and have bit of a conversation with the homeowner about that. But the whole idea is this whole notion of what's called building as a system, or home as a system, house as a system. So all kinds of things within a home contribute to a home being healthy, less costly to run, more pleasant to live in, and all that kind of thing, versus the other side. So if things are out of balance, if things aren't working in the envelope, or if there's something in terms of the overall just air loss through the home, which is your heat, what can be done to improve that? And on the same side, if you're building a tighter home, how do you make sure that you have adequate air changes and ventilation in your home? So all these kind of things need to be looked at. So to answer your question in terms of investment, it depends what you're trying to do, and what you'll get a sense of when you have an energy assessment done, you'll get a sense of what's kind of your simple payback for some of the investments, and what that would kind of yield you in terms of time to pay off that investment, whatever it is. And from that, you can determine, if you want to just kind of do something that's a little more short term, or if there's more of a longer term time horizon for a particular investment. So I didn't quite answer that fully, but that's part of it. So. Yes, sir.
Quick question.
You're getting my curiosity. There's a couple comments I wanted to make about that question, but also energy labeling. But energy labeling as well. So first of all, BCSCA undertook an energy labeling study on behalf of Hydro and Fortis in the province for MERBs, and which I'm happy to share with you. But what it does, what energy labeling does, is if you invest in retrofits in your home or your multiple unit residential building, it increases the value on resale if the label is a certified. So that's one answer to your question, is what's the payback? The other answer to your question about what's the payback is we're involved in a pilot project with the City of Vancouver right now on retrofitting apartment buildings, condos. And the only business case we recommend that we can sell is the business case where there's at least a break even. So while it might be, if you have extra money in your pocket, you're more than welcome to invest and not get a payback. What we find is that we can only really sell these to people who see a payback. And what we're selling is a retrofit that insulates the client from utility price rises coming into the future, because they are rising. We all know hydro rates are going up, but so are your water and sewer rates, and so are your gas rates. They have to. Energy is going to get more and more and more expensive. Energy is about a third of the cost of your delivered water and your recovered water, your wastewater, and your gas, of course. So what we're selling, what we're promoting, I don't know if this is your sales pitch as well, but for our part, it's we don't advise people to invest in retrofits unless there's at least a potential break even, which I think what you were sort of wondering, right? Is it, and there can be a break even.
Program funding provided by, incentives provided by, and they just like to get some kind of tangible feel is what are they putting on the table? What's the incentive to the homeowner in terms of dollars in pocket to pay for, if you're putting $10,000 to get a new furnace and installation, things like that, what is the out-of-pocket compensation you're getting from hydro?
Yeah. Well, so we look at it a bit from time value of money. So like, say you take a loan, if your monthly savings in energy costs cover the loan and the interest, then you're good, right? Then you don't see a monthly change in your costs to run your home. That's what we're aiming for, is where you don't see a change in your monthly cost to run your home. So it doesn't matter how much it is. It matters if your costs change, if the energy savings pay for it, right? And that's the complicated part, because those calculations can be complicated, and that's the part that.
And if I could just add to that, so bringing it back to the home, if you check out the Live Smart BC residential program, just Google it or go onto the provincial website or call me up and I'll let you know how to get there. You'll see the table that the current incentives through Live Smart focus right now on re-insulation. So there's roof insulation, wall insulation, attic insulation, slight difference, and other aspects of the envelope, as well as weatherization. So there's different sets of depending on what R value you're achieving and that kind of thing, there'll be an offset or a rebate amount. So if you choose to undertake that, that's the rebate you get. You can kind of balance that out if that makes sense or not. But what you're also getting there, and that's hard to quantify, is a more comfortable home. So it will be less costly to operate because you'll have better insulation values. So some of those things factor into it, as well as the occupant comfort, which is really big in our heating season.
Sure.
So
If we're really interested, just gotta buy
Sorry, guys. I'm just going to let the online people, there's a big conversation going on right here. We're kind of getting deep into baseball here. And I just wanted to get the TV thing go on. And we're going to continue this conversation, I think, more offline and in small groups here, because we really want to talk about amongst ourselves as opposed to, we can go on about this for hours, you know. So anyway, I want to thank Norm Connolly and Nigel Prodder here for coming and giving and telling us about what their respective programs are doing. I also want to just say this is GreenDrinks. We're the New West Environmental Partners. BCSEA.org for Nigel's program, and Energy Save New West, all one word, .ca for the work that Norman's doing. You can hear Corey Levine and the Blues Machine going on in the background here. The music started at the Heritage Grill. So I just going to sign off our online stuff. I do want to mention New West Environmental Partners, NWEP. We do a bunch of things around town. We've got a shoreline cleanup coming up Sunday, September 22nd on the south shore of Queensboro, sort of between the Richmond border and where the bridge at Derwent is. Come on and show up and help out, take part in the Great Canadian Shoreline Cleanup. Riverfest is coming up on the 28th of September. We have a couple of NWEP members meetings coming up in October. Go to nwep.ca to find out about them. DocFest, New West DocFest. I know a couple people in the room here are involved in that. Is coming up, and that's October 23rd, 24th, 25th. And finally, November 14th will be an NWEP AGM, and there's going to be some speakers. There's going to be an event. I can't tell you anything about it yet because there's major contracts being signed, and I'm not saying Led Zeppelin's going to be there, but I'm just saying that there's going to be something going on. I don't know what it is yet, so show up for that. So, and also thank you to New West TV for showing up in these weird conditions and allowing us to go out onto the inner tubes and talk about energy and bake underneath these lights. Oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. So thanks, guys, and we're going to continue to talk amongst ourselves, watch some blues. And thanks for Carla for organizing this all. She's hiding off camera, but she's here, don't worry. Thank you all, good night. Talk amongst yourselves.